What's up everyone and welcome to a new video. It's been a while since I made a reaction video on anything actually, because I'm changing the content. I'm having multiple playlists where I do different content because that's what I like. This doesn't mean that I don't do reaction videos at all. I just wait for good videos to come up so I can do them. And one of them got commented on, of course, all the countries that I did from Geography Now, like Croatia, Bosnia, etc. And it is a special episode from Geography Now, which is called The Balkans Explained. So I'm gonna take a look at the video and see if everything is correct, if I agree, if I disagree, my opinion, my reaction.
Hey everybody, so as you know, I'm working on the scripts for the next few country episodes, which means this is going to be a filler week. Heavily requested, but never really fulfilled until now. The Balkans Explained, aka
Yay!
Europe's most dysfunctional family. Before we...
I love it how he never forgot the line that he used in the first video about a Balkan country, saying that it's the most dysfunctional family. And I mentioned this in my other reaction videos too, because I think it's the most correct way to describe the Balkans, just the most dysfunctional family in Europe.
to the Balkans. Now, if you look at the map of Southern Europe, you see this whole mess and you're like, the hell is going on?
Hey, that's the way I do reactions as well. The fuck is that?
This place has a lot of weird history. Everybody loves and hates each other. These two countries can understand each other when they speak, as can these four, but they all swear it's distinct different languages. In modern times today, generally they're all kind of cool with each other, and the younger generation has pretty much moved on from all that animosity that their grandparents endured during war times. Like, I've heard...
I wish that was true. The younger generation, it is true that a lot of people are not into the war stuff anymore, a lot of the younger generation, but still a big portion of the younger generation is being influenced by their parents or by the TV and like media to keep that hate going, which is really, really ridiculous and annoying me, which I also explain in a lot of my other videos that I do.
Heard Greek people say, hey, I've traveled to Albania and Turkey, the nations of our enemies, and yet they were like totally treated fine by the locals when they told them that they were Greek and they had a great time. So it's pretty much like that. Like, mostly the government and the zealous people are just the ones that create the modern drama.
Exactly. The government is always making the drama on purpose, because based on everything that happened, they are exploiting the fear of people and the anger of people in order to get votes, which is so bad and dirty. And this is one of the reasons I hate politicians and everything that's got to do with politics. It's just bleh.
Historical context, this entire area at one point was ruled over the Ottoman Empire. Then during the 20th century, half of it was Yugoslavia. Wars, battles, music, and rakia. Done. Geographically speaking, what exactly are the boundaries of the Balkans? Apparently, the Balkan Peninsula is surrounded by the Adriatic Sea to the west, the Mediterranean Sea to the south, and the Black Sea to the east. Its northern boundary is often given as the Danube, Sava, and Kupa rivers, or the Balkan and Dinaric Alps mountain ranges.
So actually, almost all the all the ex-Yugoslav countries are part of the Balkans, and then a couple of pieces extra.
Balkan nations that are either completely or mostly located within the Balkan area. So no Italy, and I talked to some Romanian people, and a lot of them said, nah, we're not Balkan, we're just our own thing in Southern Europe. So I'm not going to talk about Romania. And with that being said, let's start off alphabetically.
That's true. All the Romanians that I met, they also said the same thing, which is, I mean, who cares? Like, if you don't feel like that, or you're not like that based on history, then I don't give a shit.
Albania. Ooh, Albania was one of the first episodes I made. That was so long ago. Out of all the Balkan nations, Albania is probably like the one that sticks out like a sore thumb the most. It's like the oddball that doesn't quite fit in. It's like the emo kid at the dinner table. Their language has no other relatives, and they have a bunch of these like dome bunkers all over the country because their former leader was kind of paranoid. I mean, come on, Albanians, let's be real. And for Hoha, he was a little intense. About half the country is Muslim, which is interesting because they went through a weird communist era in which all religious practice was banned and illegal, but like the religious community still kind of held on. For the longest time, they were actually closed off to the entire world except China. Today, however, they are completely opened up, and a lot...
This is just exactly Albania. You're like, okay, their language sounds like French and everything, like a lot of languages combined. That's how, to me, the Albanian language sounds. And then all of a sudden they have this random relation to China. Like, what?
A lot of like intrepid Europeans like to travel here because there's a lot of like secret hidden beaches. Everything here is cheap. They are a candidate to join the EU. However, they still have some political obstacles that they have to overcome in order to join. And they kind of don't really get along well with Serbia because of the whole Kosovo thing, which we will explain in a bit. Bosnia and Herzegovina, our first South Slavic nation. This is the most confusing political entity in, I would argue, the entire world. Just watch the episode if you want to recap. But basically, they have 3 constituent people groups. No other country has this. Maybe kind of Comoros, but that's a little different. And it's weird because like everything here comes in 3s. The Bosnians or Bosniaks are mostly Muslim, the Serbians are mostly Orthodox, and the Croatians are mostly Catholic. The country is divided into 3 parts. This all happened because after the breakup of Yugoslavia, there was a Bosnian war, yada yada yada, and here we are. What's even crazier is they have 3 presidents, one for each of the constituent groups. And even weirder, they all pretty much speak the same language, but they are very keen to make sure that they distinguish that it's Croatian, Serbian, and Bosnian. Like, it's all basically the same thing, but they still, like, distinguish it.
You see? And then my comment section is fucking filled with hate because people are saying, no, it's different languages, no, it's different languages. Every foreign guy in the world doesn't give a single fuck about that. To them, it's the same. To me, it's the same. And I'm even from there. Just stop fucking bitching around. It's one language. If there are some other words, it's more like a dialect, not even a different language. You say stuff a bit differently. It's more like a dialect, not an entire different language when 90% of the language matches with the language of the other country.
Country is almost completely landlocked, but they have this small little 20-kilometer long coast on the Adriatic. But yeah, for what it's worth, they have a really cool art and music scene. They hosted the Winter Olympics in Sarajevo. You still see some of the remnants of the Ottoman Empire and things like food and architecture. And yeah, interesting place that not a lot of people talk about. Bosnia and Herzegovina. Bulgaria, our second Slavic nation. The land of roses. Every time I get something sent in from Bulgaria for fan mail, it always usually includes something made out of roses. Bulgaria is, how can I put it? It's kind of like the slowly withering beauty. Here's the thing, like wonders and culture, but like a lot of people are just leaving. Since the early 90s, about a quarter of their entire population has left, making them one of the highest population decline nations in the world. Joining the EU...
One of the highest. Guess what? Bosnia is probably on that list too. I think most of the countries he mentioned in this Balkan list, like a piece of Turkey, Greece, blah, 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 have an extremely declining population. It's why? Corruption, bullshit, and all that kind of stuff.
Bulgarians and Macedonians are pretty much family. I mean, they speak the exact same language almost. In fact, many Bulgarians will say that Macedonians are just kind of like confused Bulgarians. It's just the biggest difference is that North Macedonia was historically part of Yugoslavia, whereas Bulgaria was not.
Exactly. And you don't mess with Yugoslavia. You don't do that, boy. No.
Croatia,
Exactly.
our third Slavic nation. Croatia is kind of like the one that got really lucky. It's the land of the best Balkan sunsets. All those Game of Thrones locations. They even have Game of Thrones tours. Croatia is one of the 5 Catholic-influenced Slavic nations, whereas the rest are predominantly Orthodox. You see a lot of Italian and ancient Roman influence here. Lots of Italians even live here. They are
That's also true. A lot of Italians are living in Croatia, and also a lot of Croatians are living in Italy. So, yeah, I mean, it's not so far apart, so it's not weird actually at all.
Seafaring folk, thousands of islands and rocks off the coast. They have the second highest quality of life index in the Balkans.
Yes, that's true, and that's something that I love Croatia for when it comes to the quality of life. And also, Slovenia is probably number 1. I also love Slovenia a lot, actually. Maybe something for a future video. Hint.
Band's 2 Cellos was started here. And yeah, overall, they've pretty much moved on from war times, and they've built up quite a reputation. Croatia. Greece. We all know this one. Very few countries love their culture and history and background as much as Greek people do. Greeks love being Greek. Greece is kind of like the master of...
That's very true. I know a couple of Greek people. One of my old friends was also a Greek guy. But also, like, I know a lot more Greek people, and they are so passionate for being Greek. And you can like taste it in every sentence. It's almost like, it's like for the whole Balkan region. When you hear Bosnians, Croatians, Serbians talk about their own country, they're just filled with love and excitement when they're speaking about their country, the pride, you know.
history and the remnant to the ancients, the cradle of Western civilization. And now they're known for being loud dancing party animals. Sorry, come on, Greeks, you know it's true. Like Albania, they are love Serbians and Serbians love Greece.
This is true because they also hid and offered refuge to Serbian war criminals in Greece.
Worked historically alongside each other a lot, especially during the fight against the Ottomans. Plus, Serbia also kind of likes how Greece does not recognize Kosovo, which brings us to the...
Dun, da, da, da. You see, in a football match, I can't remember which one it is. It's 2004 or 6. I can't remember exactly. The Bosnian fans had t-shirts and wrote into the stadium, like with people, like letters on their shirts. They wrote, Greece is Serbia's gay brother. Because it kind of is.
The partially recognized disputed area of Kosovo. Kosovo is like the weird wild card guy that nobody really wants to get involved in except for Serbia and Albania. If you ask a somewhat nationalistic Serbian, they will probably say, Kosovo belongs to Serbia. They are not a country. It is our autonomous province of Kosovo and Metohija.
Yes, that's actually how it was formed, like an autonomous province, but not a country, which is exactly the thing that is the clash point, which he's probably going to explain right now.
Ask a Kosovar, they will probably say, 102 member states of the UN recognize us. We claimed independence in 2008. We are an observer state of the UN. But then Serbia will say, yeah, but not a full participating member state. Plus, there's a lot of Serbian history and cultural sites in Kosovo. Okay, well,
True.
We're still pretty much in every sense.
There's actually a lot of deep historical places in Kosovo, which is why Serbians are so fierce when it comes to the Kosovo region and calling it an independent country.
A country. Even your government recognizes our administration. Well, you can claim whatever you want, but no, you're not a country. And it goes on. Whatever you want to claim Kosovo is, it's basically like Albania's little brother. The majority of people in Kosovo are Albanian. There was a huge war in the 90s after the breakup of Yugoslavia, which pretty much led to what we have now. And keep in mind, there is a Serbian minority in Kosovo, which is where a lot of the conflict centers around. Whatever you want to consider Kosovo as, basically, it's a place that's kind of trying to move into the 21st century in a...
Yeah, and the fun fact is because the minority of Serbians there are real Serbians. The Serbian government is just waiting for that moment, like they had in the 90s, to play this game like Crimea and Russia. Like a minority is being threatened, and they're real Russians, and in this case, they're real Serbians, and we as a Serbian nation will have to defend our people in Kosovo, and this is the stuff they're waiting for to send in troops. Problem is there's a lot of NATO troops there, a lot. It's like UN and all that kind of shit is stationed there just to poke around with Serbia, since Serbia is more allied with Russia or has stronger ties with Russia than it has with the EU.
In a weird, awkward way. Tourism is starting to grow, especially amongst intrepid travelers who like to say that they've been to a disputed area. But yeah, probably the biggest controversy of the Balkans. Montenegro is the sleepiest country on earth. They even have a lazy Olympics where you can get about 400 euros just for being the person who does nothing for the longest. They're like the...
In every Balkan joke, no matter where you are, Serbia, Croatia, Bosnia, doesn't matter which of those countries, Slovenia, Macedonia, when there is a joke and people are telling a joke and it includes, and the story starts like, well, there's a Bosnian, a Serbian, and a Croatian, and a Montenegrin, it's always going to be about the Montenegrin, and it's always going to be something with the extreme laziness or lazy reputation that they have in the region, which is like quite funny, to be honest. I still think that is funny.
The chill, lazy, little, hippie sister of Serbia that has access to the beach, and she likes to sleep on the beach. They were the last part of the former Yugoslavian Republic to break away in 2006 from Serbia, probably because they were sleeping and missed the deadline. They speak pretty...
Because they were sleeping and missed the deadline. Got him!
Pretty much the same language as Serbians, Croats, and Bosnians, but they just have their own little Montenegrin accent. They really don't like getting into drama or conflicts, which is funny because historically they were known for being like really vicious fighters. They get along with pretty much all of their neighbors.
Well, they were really known for being really vicious fighters, but it doesn't mean that because they're lazy now they won't do it again. It's just like they just want to do everything in a relaxed, without drama way, but if it needs to be like shit hits the fan, then they are definitely also very fierce, like all the other Balkan countries, to defend what is theirs.
However, in the end, Serbia is just kind of like their best friend-ish. Like a lot of Montenegrins
Yeah.
go to Serbia for education and job opportunities, and Serbia
Correct.
likes to use Montenegro for access to the sea. The newly named North Macedonia. Ooh, the country that must not be named. Other than Kosovo, this is probably the most controversial area in the Balkans. For the longest time, they had gone through a series of disputes and economic blockades, mostly against Greece, all because of the name. I don't have too much time to explain, just watch the video, which is already kind of outdated. For the longest time, under the UN, they were labeled as the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia. Many countries called them the Republic of Macedonia. Greeks were not happy because the word Macedonia implies Hellenistic roots, when clearly the people of this area they're not Greek. They speak a Slavic language, but then the
Yeah, but the Greeks don't agree with that. Also, check out the reaction video on my channel with that shameless plug. But there's a lot of people just hammering ultimate shit in the comment section. It's ridiculous. I make these videos for fun. I make these videos with my opinion, my maybe a bit biased opinion. No, just kidding. I'm just the most relaxed dude when it comes to all these subjects. I don't really give a shit either. I'm more like the Montenegrin dudes, like just sleep through everything, no drama, just whatever. And then there's these Greeks so fierce. Why do you call it Macedonia? Blah 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 blah. Oh God, just shut up. Like, who gives a shit? Who gives a single shit? It's like, your dog is called Pablo. He should have been called Rocky because Pablo is a Spanish name. No, it's not. What the fuck? Just people, take a chill pill. What's wrong with you? There's more problems in this world that you should bother about than this shit. Solve like other problems which are real problems in the world, please.
Macedonians have their side of the argument, and then it just gets kind of messy. I'm not going to go further into this. But anyway, yeah, the people preserved Byzantine frescoes and paintings. I was told a lot of Balkan people love going here because everything is like super cheap, and they do have pretty good food here. And I mean, if you just kind of like look past all the semantics and like overarching diplomatic issues, then they're just like people that like to eat, have fun, and chill. It's just, yeah, government and politics makes things crazy.
Yeah, but that's for basically the entire region. I mean, you name it as, like Barbie names it, on all the different countries as a thing that's standing apart from that country, but actually it's just a general issue in the entire Balkans where politics and like historical hatred and wars and nationalism is being triggered almost daily through news, politics, and all the other stuff. Which is annoying the living shit out of me, because a man who dedicated his life to this, his life project, you probably know who I'm talking about, Tito, he worked so hard to kill that as much as possible. It's just so sad to see that on a daily basis. When I watch the news, like from here, the Bosnian news and stuff, I'm just like, wow, the amount of shit they're producing, it's ridiculous. I don't think a cow can produce that much shit on a day.
Serbia. Oh boy, if you ask anybody in the Balkans, they all have an opinion on Serbia. A lot of people will probably say Serbia is kind of like where all the crazy stuff starts. It's the country they all love to hate and hate to love. Like, they kind of started and pushed the kingdom of Yugoslavia. They kind of started World War I and the Yugoslav wars. Let's be honest though, Yugoslavia was kind of like a collective effort. I mean, Tito was Croat, Slovene. But then people are like, I guess the new younger generation that never saw war is kind of cool and a little sexy, I guess. And the thing is, for the
A little sexy, I guess.
longest time, Serbia was actually a kingdom apart from the Austro-Hungarian Empire, unlike Croatia and Bosnia, which were part of it. So they're kind of proud of the fact that they kind of like stood their ground. Of course, they are another Slavic nation. They can understand Croatians and Bosnians. They are a negotiating candidate to join the EU, but of course everything is on hold because of the whole Kosovo thing. Plus, it's interesting because if they did join the EU, that would kind of maybe strain their relations with Russia, which is like one of their closest allies.
This would definitely strain the relations with Russia, and yes, it's one of their closest allies, which is not like a big deal, but selling your soul to the EU is something that happened like in Croatia and Slovenia as well, and a lot of people actually regret it. And I still think until this day that it was not a good idea to join the EU as Croatia and as Slovenia, and that if they were put their I don't want to swear too much in my videos. if they would just put away all that stupid honor and nationalistic bullshit and just could make an agreement when it comes to trade economics and that kind of stuff, and maybe even one coin for all the ex-Yugoslav nations. Not make an entire new Yugoslavia, but just make a what is it called, economic pact, to say so, for trading, etc. They would be off way better than they are now. Ultimately, when they're joining the EU, it's gonna happen anyway, but they have to meet a lot of rules and kind of stuff and invest in that. They're using more money than they actually should, and it's in the long run, it's just gonna be a big mess.
It's actually voted by Lonely Planet as the city with the best nightlife. They love raspberries.
True, been there, and nightlife is awesome. Like, when it comes to clubbing, not so much. Too much criminals and mafia going on when it comes to clubbing. But the open parties next to the river are just awesome. Just so awesome.
And they have like one of the largest Orthodox churches in the world. And like, in a nutshell, they are such a key figure in the Balkans. And yeah, what else? Novak Djokovic. And finally, Slovenia. Slovenia is the richest and most well-off of all the Balkan nations. Their language is kind of intelligible to the Serbo-Bosnian Croat language.
It is. It's I can understand basically everything, and that's because I went there quite often, but it's really not that hard. Like, my uncle moved there, like, I think it's 2 years ago, or one or 2 years ago, and he already speaks the language fluently. So, you know, it's really easy to pick up once you know Croatian, Serbian, and Bosnian, or yes, ex-Yugoslav languages.
But I heard it's just like a little bit more difficult to understand. They have beautiful world-renowned buildings and monasteries. They don't like to cause any drama. They get along very well with Italy. There's a lot of Italians that live here, even though they're kind of pissed off that Italy got the entire Trieste coast, cutting off half of their access to the sea. But
true, they're really pissed off because of that. And there's also a lot of luxury things there, so they're missing out on a lot of money too.
And it's kind of like whenever they're at a party with all their cousins, it's like everybody's drinking rakia, but then Slovenia is like the one who's like, I prefer a nice glass of wine, which is like almost sacrilege. Serbian.
Exactly, but it doesn't matter. Like, when you're watching the amount of people that are in the Balkan region, especially like in Serbia, Bosnia, and Croatia, there's a lot of people who drink rakia, and there's also a lot of Bosnians living in Slovenia. It's ridiculous how many. It's insane. Like, the capital of Ljubljana, there's probably like 40% of Bosnians living in the capital of Ljubljana, which is not even exaggerating. That's insane how many Bosnians live there.
Croatians and Bosnians kind of joke that Slovenians are kind of like the stuck-up people. They're kind of like the nerdy brother that got a good job in banking, and he still shows up to the family reunions, but he kind of like keeps his distance and doesn't want to party too hard because he has work in the morning.
This is such a good description. They just don't want to party that hard in the morning. It's like, yeah, exactly. It's exactly that. They're stuck up, and then once they get drunk, then the real Slovenian comes out, and they know all Bosnian songs and old folk shit. They start drinking rakia as well. It's just, they're just acting like they're really high class and really professional. And then when alcohol hits the fan, if you know what I mean, then all the people become the true Balkan people they really are.
Everybody else is like, you little wuss. But hey, they're rich, so they don't care. And that's basically it. There's so much I missed out on. I kind of want you guys to explain in the comments, which is going to be a beautiful place, and it's going to have no controversy and no argument, obviously.
Every time I make a video like this on one of the countries where I speak out my opinion, I watch this, I'm thinking the exact same thing. I'm like, yep. So the comment section is gonna be a fucking massacre. Yep. Well, that was it for this video, and exactly everything he said in this video I agreed with 100%. It's yeah, I mean, you can make a big deal out of some of these comments that he makes, but why? Just what I would like to advise everyone who watched this video, everyone in the comment section, be more like the Montenegrin people. Like, don't give a damn, no drama, just relax. We just want to have fun. We just want to be lazy and have shots of rakia. That's it. That's shots of rakia and folk music. That's all we need. If you like the video, please like the video. Comment down below on what I should do next, what I should react to. Find me some cool videos like this. I don't like music that much anymore since it's so much copyrighted BS with that. So just find me like interesting subjects like this that I can actually talk about with you guys, and to subscribe. We're almost at 20k subscribers, and I'm uploading a lot of content, as you can see lately. Some better than others since I'm trying new things out. I'm not really good at vlogging. Well, I'm not really good at vlogging when I'm not traveling. I like travel vlogs. I like making that. That was really successful last year. Everything got above 1,000 views. But the vlogs I did this summer at home and stuff were kind of boring because I'm always in the same place, so it's not really interesting to watch. But yeah, I hope you guys liked it. I see you guys in the next video. Ciao!